Well, now we're getting into like the most anticipated match of the day, which is the top two expected and now actually Elazer versus Probe. Whoever wins here will take first place. Elazer did lose a map against Skillus in that really epic game. Probe undefeated, but a overall series win would bump him up a little bit more. So we'll see if that can happen. As we do have in the bottom left, the Vanguard player, Probe.
In the upper right, Infernal player is Elazer. I was surprised. I'm like doing the intro. There's already a dog in the base. I'm like, what?
I have so far forgotten the dog for at least 20 seconds every game I've played.
You know what it is? It's like usually I'm used to this happening when like I'm like jumping in the game myself late. I came back from a break and it's like, oh no, the first units are building. It's like you still have time to do the intros, but in Stormgate the dog is here instantly.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, and being a very annoying worker harass. Fortunately, unlike a drone or a probe, he doesn't regen his health, which then would be just the worst type of harassment. Elazer going to go for a fast expansion, as will Probe. It's just that Infernal can't really get away with it without a unit.
Yep, as attempt to grab an MPM with dog. Gets close, but it's not close enough.
Yep. Very typical opener. I mean, we're really witnessing both. So Elazer, I guess, has slightly less practice, right? Because he was casting at Katowice, but these guys were both practicing so much and topping the ladders whenever they could play. Probe is here not because he was at Katowice, but unfortunately, kind of things got a little hubbub went down basically last week, and so as a makeup, they were like, well, just come along with this qualifier, which was very, very nice, and he is definitely one of the favorites to qualify, advance, and then maybe even win. We do have a couple of people who are literally qualified from the ladder, I believe, who might be the most anticipated to win, such as Parting, but I think Probe can definitely give him a run for his money. And Elazer too, now that he's also caught up on the most recent build and the most recent patch.
Yeah, man. That's a lot of stuff to kind of look at, right? A lot of stuff to keep in mind. It's exciting. It's fun to see all this developing and see all these builds coming out and everyone getting better. I always feel like there's definitely even been like moments today we've seen like a couple players kind of starting to do different things. Definitely Clem, right? Start of the day he was Hedgehog Man and he became Dog Boy for a little bit. But he kind of went away into like some more standard, just kind of like straight up bio stuff. So like he's really already been on that kind of journey just throughout the course of the games today. So yeah, definitely makes you excited to kind of check out the playoffs the next couple of days, see what other stuff gets brought up.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know about you, but it's actually kind of a comfort seeing some of the most familiar names to us. A lot of the players who played last week were also StarCraft players, high on the ladder or kind of semi-pros, whatever you want to call it, but these are the names that we have cast for years. Even Probe, who has kind of retired from StarCraft a little bit, but he'll just like come back in a month, be the best player in Australia again. So, just a super talented guy. So it's been like a warm hug, But tomorrow we'll see the clash of the, let's say, like open qualifier, ladder, and Katowice qualifier, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah,
that's cool.
No, that's very true. That's it's gonna be fun. See what that bracket looks like as well. See who's gonna play against who. I feel like whoever ends up against Parting is not gonna be having a very good day tomorrow. But
no. No, Parting, not only one of the best players, but also the type of player who gets things fixed. All right, and there's a couple of players who do that. Scarlet is another one who, like, literally in StarCraft 2, she's been the reason for some rule changes. And Parting has been the rule change guy for Stormgate. He did an imp strategy that then got the imps nerfed, so you couldn't just race over and kill your opponent's orbital, or command post, rather. So it's... I'm sure, and he's been hiding his strategies too, which is kind of the most insane thing. Didn't play in some StarCraft stuff, didn't play in the Stormgate stuff, doesn't stream. He's all in. But anyway, Probe going for that early Hornet harass that we did see him earlier on today showcase in this matchup. The bubble on top of it just means that it's going to last basically forever. Obviously not actually forever, but he's going to take down as many gaunts as possible before leaving. That was a lot of gaunts, so...
Yeah, I was looking at this, I was like, that build is about to expire, and there's a lot of gaunts now underneath, but again, they don't deal like loads of damage per hit, so yeah, at least gives you a couple shots you can take. And still pretty healthy there, as you do have again, just the speed at which you take bases is really what amazes me. You know, I think that's definitely one of the biggest developments over the last, couple of months in Stormgate is obviously give people a bit of time, they realize what they can get away with, and especially at the highest level, people are just like, yeah, we can just expand, like there's nothing to stop us. And later, this is 5 minutes going to base number 4, one on the right side, one on the top side.
Dang.
There's nothing stopping him at the moment. Well,
I mean, Hornets are trying.
yeah, they're gonna give it a go.
Yeah, which I think they are going to out DPS this. It's not going to, the Shroud Stone's not going to be up in long enough. Yeah. That's a kind of a waste, right? Waste of an imp at least, but it's still 4 bases, like these Hornets can only ever do so much. This might just be the expected results in this matchup, but then what we have been seeing is that slightly stronger. Well, it's still very situational, isn't it? But we've certainly seen some games where the Infernal Army seems to have that quality, and the Vanguard Army was more of the mobility and quantity. But I don't know if that's always how it's going to go, obviously. So if Probe is restricted to fewer bases, can he get a better resource trading army? I would expect he knows. I'm just questioning, but we know that these guys very much know what they're doing in Stormgate.
Yep. No, absolutely, as we got there. Expansion over this left side. Boom, another base coming online. Man, I just cannot get over how quickly these things can build. Like, this is it's like boggling my mind. Like, I feel like
bobbling.
Build that class. It's bobbling my mind.
Gotta bookend the puns, man. But no, it's something, as I said, I wonder if they're going to look at, again, the whole discussion of whether or not fast expanding, taking over the map is the way that they want the game to be played, so on and so forth. But I think what is really hard to balance is the idea of being able to fast expand at an appropriate pace, let's say, whatever that means to you, whatever, but then also giving the correct defense advantage, right? Because that's kind of also what's impacting the amount of expansions that can be done, right? Shroud helps the Infernals, so then they feel comfortable once they actually get their base up and the Shroud Stone down as well. And for the Vanguard, they have the Bobs. They can overcharge them to literally build faster and repair faster, but then they can mass repair as well. So, yeah, balancing defender's advantage, defender's benefit, I suppose, with the expansion process of the game. Difficult stuff. Game design, not so easy.
That's why they have the professionals. I want to try and get in here. Magmadons have taken to the stage. And Magmadon Gondor on me setting up. No drop, no Doombringer just yet, but it definitely feels like an expectation at this point of Infernal versus Vanguard that you get that going at some stage. So just kind of waiting on that to still come through.
Yeah, really waiting on a true engagement. Probes,
yeah.
Hornets being annoying, but that's really all they've been doing. Hey, there's a decent number of them, so I think if you do lose track of them, they can do a feisty little backstab, but so far with Elazer just staying on his 4 bases, it's not too bad at all. Shroud's gonna go down.
Boom.
Okay. A suicide bomber affecting at least one of those Hornets.
Yeah, we only had 1 Shadow Flyer ready, but obviously with this amount of Hornets up, I think it's absolutely worth getting into a few of those, right? Just ready to go and ready to fly into that group and try and just clean those out. You know, that air control a little bit, that investment early maybe doesn't go as far. Maybe that opens the door for Elazer to do very well on the ground attack.
Could be. Seen that kind of dilemma, if you will, before. The ground army of Probe is starting to build up, and now even ground and air combining together. We will probably see a little more of the Hornet versus Shadow Flyer dynamic, which really is quite similar to Corsair versus Scourge, because you can shoot down the Shadow Flyers before they pop off, but only if you're paying attention. And the Hornets are even more agile, I would say, than Corsairs are. But yeah, we'll see if that is the main even component of a battle, right? Because it definitely feels like it's going more to the ground. That dog is going to see one heck of an Infernal army. Quite intimidating, in fact, and Probe probably just want to use defender's advantage as much as possible if Elazer actually is thinking about moving out, which I believe he should. There's nothing else telling him not to. Even the Hornets are back at home.
Yep, Hornets are chilling. Elazer can get over here and start to take some control. We got vision camps that we can clean up and yeah, just fight back to this position on the map for the moment. Clear that out, and obviously at least now you know where you're at as Probe goes forward with those Hornets, and we do have 5 Shadow Flyers here. Looking for that chance to just zoom on into that cluster of Hornets. Gonna be cleaning some crypts as well. Not crypts, some trees with the Magmadon. trampling through those as we get ready to come up this ramp. And in we go, ready for this fight. This is going to be big. Here come the Shadow Flies as well. They're going to aim for those Hornets. How are they going to deal with that as they go in? The Booms do not go very far. The Hornets got rid of them. So it's now about the ground army. Lots of going still. As the Magmadons trying to lead through, but a couple of Magmadons really stuck on the turret at the back, so finally they get through to the front to trample. That's a bit of lost time, and the Hornets are going to go through for all of these gaunts, and they are getting nuked down. Is it enough in the skies from Probe? As he's definitely losing out on the ground for the moment, but if he holds out with the Hornets, which he has done, he will get rid of these Magmadons, and then that is a full cleanup. Elazer is going to lose everything. What a defense.
Yeah, that was just 100% a defense, you know? That was utilizing your defender's advantage, your Sim City, and then trying to win out on the ground versus air dynamic, right? He was kind of losing on the ground, but Sim City helped to actually hold on. And then the air went 100% for him because he avoided the Shadow Flyers, and then he did have enough to take down the Gaunts that were also trying to take them down, so... And with so many Hornets left over, right? If 2 Hornets are left over, maybe those Magmadons are still stomping around, but... Hard to say, because there were some units for Probe still around. The medtech survived, the turret survived, the production was still up and running and producing, of course, too. Yeah, those Hornets survived in such big numbers. It's definitely a fight not going how Elazer expected. He is going to have to rebuild another very large army. It's going to take a little while, but he is on the bases to do so. He got 4 bases faster than Probe got his 3rd, and is now going up to a 5th base as Probe finally gets his 4th saturated. Elazer actually could probably even reach towards a 6th if he really wanted to. One of these so-called contested bases, just because Probe is still, I think, also recuperating, and is still also on the defense.
Yeah, that is a big part of this, right? As Elazer gets kind of rebuilt, the last fight might not have been great, but he does kind of keep Probe back a little bit. Maybe next time around we fight on one of the little external bases, deny a base there or so, and maybe this could still be good for you if you're keeping your own bases up very comfortably so far. And you can see those Hornets trying to get in again. A lot of those have veterancy now as well. They've survived a little while. This time the Shadow Flies begin to get through, but we're targeting down what we can. We just about... We were just short of some of the damage needed to kind of get through them in one shot. So a couple connected I don't think Probe was expecting. That kind of then, you know, became, we said a lot today, but that snowball effect of, you know, once you lost a couple, you don't have that mass to kind of shoot them down in time. And then more connect, and the Shadow Flies do much better there than they did before.
Yeah, so... I don't think relying on Hornets winning out against them and then winning out or helping versus the ground is really a reliable way to play. I mean, I'm not sure. Probe does have faith in the Hornets as a part of his composition, but relying totally on them, that is a different question. And Probe has definitely moved on from even a bio army. I mean, his army's very much mech-based. We got medtech, some Lancers, but then a lot of Vulcans coming out here as well. And numbers that I'm not sure we've actually seen quite yet. Because, you know, Skillus was playing so much of the mass bio. I wonder how this is going to look. Elazer has built up another army, also added on so much of his own static defense, which he was very good about doing versus Skillus, right? Although that was with a different type of composition for him.
Yep. And you can see this line of defenses was huge for Elazer earlier. I mean, it's just so difficult for the Vanguard player to really get anything done, right? Like, you know, anything they tried to do just took a little while. It's obviously a bit of a different comp to what we saw earlier. We still got those Hornets, we still got the Vulcans, and a much bigger space here as well, and much bigger numbers, so we're just gonna see how they power through in the next fight. Well, that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting to see how the next battle goes, because Elazer's been allowed to just take his entire half of the map beyond that previous fight, and Probe is kind of struggling to find any opportunities right now. Yeah,
there's so much tag defense. I mean, the Hornets kind of finding a little bit of a angle on top of the imps there, but not too much as further static defense is being... Okay, that's a little... That's just enough, actually. You know what? That's perfect.
That's the one. Those are the numbers. And they are just overtaking the map. It's going to make this well, very drawn out, very difficult for Probe to obviously again ever really push through. It feels like it gives a lot of control to Elazer, but does Elazer ever really want to move forward away from all that static defense? Or is he happy just to kind of sit back and sit on it forever?
It weirdly feels like Elazer has so much experience in super late game Stormgate, but the reason that's weird is that I'm pretty sure that a lot of Stormgate actually averages more like to an 8 to 13 minute game, not 15, 20, 25, but it just seems like he's so well prepared for that late game.
Yeah, no, he's coming in almost like this is it. This is like how we've been prepping this. Hell, you got those shard stones. They're just gonna sit there and fire it up. And even if they're just tanking for a little while, as the magmadons come through with some stones. Well, I mean, that's a cool idea until they get absolutely blasted, and somehow only one of them dies. The rest can get away.
Yeah, I think that secondary health bar, I guess, is the only reason. But I was yelling because they absolutely were heading into the slaughter, man. Don't do it! Don't do it!
Back. Sometimes you just gotta go trample some boys to give your team a chance, although the team is not really with you. Is here the Hellborns. They're gonna get some shots off. They're gonna fire their first shots through, but if they stick around there, they might end up exposed as they're gonna start making some moves forward, and they will take more damage quickly. Now the Vulcans dive in. The resource camp actually tanking some of the damage here as well. As Probe continues to fight into this position, wants to break through this spot. We are attacking into the choke point here. I think this is where the Vulcans are going to do very well. They're going to absolutely shred anything coming through the choke. The Lance is helping to force the Infernals to choke up as well. And the Vulcans are just going wild.
I can't, like, there's like a line of gaunts that went directly into the middle of the army, almost. I thought they were imps, honestly. Because I was like, oh, he's going to explode them in the middle of the army. And it was just like a slaughter. It was like they lined up there. It didn't quite work out. Speaking of, though, once again, imps exploding. Big, crunched up armies through the middle of the choke. Elazer just is not a big fan of using his imps for anything other than mining and building static defense.
Man, my perspective of this game has flipped so quickly because it's like, man, Elazer's really taking the whole map again. Like, this looks good. And now I'm seeing how quickly that disintegrates to this Vulcan force, which they keep on retreating away now. We do have Hellborns and Magmadons coming through the top side, looking for a fight here. Got the Hornets going to try and lead in, but they've got Shadowflies to try and deal with as well. We kite away from those. That's happening during the rest of this. The Shadowflies explode. The Hornets can get going once again. The Vulcans are getting trampled, though. The Magmadons quite literally caught in the path forward as we cover the area and Shroud as well to give us a little bit of an opportunity. However, the Vulcans are holding. And the Gaunts are retreating. The Hellborns are going to have to try and work their way through something here. But man, these Vultures are just not dying to anything right now.
That's the main problem, honestly. Like, the trample is actually going into the middle of the army, and it looks so effective, but the Vulcans are barely not dying. Right? The healing is coming through. Even some bubble, like a bubble on a front line one is really effective. And so you don't get that same snowball effect. But additionally, I think Elazer is having trouble getting all of his units fighting at once. If the Hellborns had actually been involved with the trample, as they're trying to be right here, as you can see, every single one of these Hellborns firing, then suddenly it's actually a very good fight. Making sure they're all firing, they're all getting kind of caught up on each other, they're not able to get big enough concave. That has taken away some of the power as Elazer sacrifices his Magmadons to even get the chance. But obviously Probe has been pushed back to a certain extent. Elazer sacrificing a lot of the cheaper units, at least on the front lines, and leaving those Hellborn on the backside to come back later. So that is a powerful aspect of, I guess, of his army. Especially as he is also rallying kind of close to the front lines, because the front lines is now the middle of the map. They're both contesting over the final bases.
Dragons here. Elazer's dragon earlier was monumental in the game. When it was a similar situation. So having that up definitely got to feel good right now. We're going to make our way around this bottom side. And, well, we start to push on forwards a little bit. Do we have the damage output still here for Probe to make a bit of a defense, trying to hold this location? This time it feels as though it's much more about the Infernals as they fight through.
Yeah, it looks like they're overwhelming, man. Probe not even microing towards the end, or it looked that way as he was trying to make his last stand to defend the base, but that has not worked out. Forced to flee back to some turrets, back to his reinforcements, but Elazer continues to just pump out the units that can arrive fastest on the front line of the Hellborns. Now they are getting up close and personal on the production, and Elazer might have just done it.
The Hornets want to try and get the Dragon. The Dragon pulls back, though. Good control from Elazer, who, I mean, honestly ends up in a fairly similar situation to what happened earlier against Skillets, right? It's like, you kind of get pushed around a whole bunch, but eventually, the one final push that you have, or somewhat final push that you have, is just seemingly somewhat unstoppable.
Yeah, the Hellborns all actually being activated to the best of their ability, all attacking in a clumped up Vanguard army with some Magmadons and Gaunts and Brutes on the front line to help them out. I mean, it really has worked out. It was his own Sim City, honestly, that was really choking out so much of his DPS when they were battling in the very middle of the map, and that just started to change as they went different avenues. Pro probably pretty frustrated. He certainly had a chance to win this game, but now his production is close to being camped. He actually still is mining. off to the right side, even on this base, although it will only be for so much longer. But there we go. Probe will tap out.
GG's. What a game by Elazer. Again, that ability to sort of sit back and say, hey, I can absorb this. I can take this. First fight for him, the first bigger fight, didn't really go his way, but he just rebounded by taking every base on his side of the map. And even then, there was a couple fights that did not look pretty for him. And then just Probe trying to get across the other side, lose momentum. And that's going to be where it all comes down to in the end.
Elazer's final push really looking quite strong. Different compositions, not nearly as many weavers, but still kind of the same idea, which is survive, defend, survive, and then expand and just take the map with static defense. And then he gets to, I guess, what he perceives as the best possible late game army. And once it gets its perfect layering, its good concave, we can see that it is pretty freaking good. I'll see if things change on a new map. Top right, it is Elazer.
In the bottom left-hand side, our Vanguard player down a game. It is Probe. That's the first game he dropped all day, and Elazer now up by 1 as they fight over the first place seeding of this group.
Yeah. Yeah, not sure how the seeding's looking for the other portions, I guess, like the final bracket, I suppose, but maybe that first seed will impact his ability to advance drastically. Maybe he still gets put up against a very intimidating Stormgate player.
I'm excited, man. I really am interested to see what the matchups are tomorrow. Like, see who's going to end up playing against who, and just try and see if there's going to be any storylines. See if there's any underdogs that might I feel good about after watching today's games and so on. It'll be exciting to see. Obviously, playoffs playing out tomorrow and Sunday, so do not miss out on those. Yeah, fun couple days of Stormgate action.
Yeah, similar amount of content as well, I want to say. Tomorrow we're going to have the latter half be best of fives, if I recall correctly. But still a lot of Stormgate because of that, actually.
Maybe some less 3-minute Infernal versus Infernal games. Had a guess.
There were longer than 5-minute ones earlier today. I swear. We just got all the 5-minute ones.
Yeah, I know. We just got the Dark Infernal one.
Try not to, beat him when he's down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, Dark's made many people feel the way he did today, so...
Oh, that is an excellent point. This is actually the bully being finally bullied, so... Actually, there was probably a stronger story I guess we could have told with Elazer versus Dark as far as their history in StarCraft, but there's just really no reason to. It's so different, and the games are so fast anyway. It just didn't matter.
Yeah. It would have been a story if it became this close epic thing, but we kind of felt, especially going into that one, we already kind of knew where it was likely going to go, right? We'd already had a taste of it, so.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, Elazer. I mean, both of them. Wait, no, not both of them doing the same thing. Elazer is going for the expansion, but it is Probe going for some earlier aggression. He's got the doggos running around taking the resource camps. He is eventually going to expand, but yeah, he just fast expanded last game, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, they expanded both pretty quickly. Put that expansion down straight away.
Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah. But now just the dogs will take care of the camps. Maybe a little bit of harassment as well, and you still get a very fast expansion thanks to the mass build. What's a better phrase for that?
I'm with you. I understand.
Whatever the Warcraft people say for humans.
So we are going to see dogs are going to run forward. Gaunts do not last long against dogs, so they're going to jump in. The first Gaunts are in some trouble. The Imps actually have to pull into this as well. How well can our dogs do? We're running out of dogs, and unfortunately that spawns a whole bunch of extra fiends. That does not feel like a good fight at all from Probe, who was later to expand, has now given Elazer a bunch of fiends to tank for his Gaunts coming across the map. That seems kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the decision was for that one. I guess he just really thought that more imps at the very least would go down, but I'm not even sure that many went down.
That really wasn't great.
Any?
Yeah, I think he killed a couple Gaunts, but even that, I assume he just thought he was going to kill more Gaunts more quickly, which if that's the case, then yeah, then maybe it snowballs in a different direction. Instead, now we knock down a chicken, and uh-oh, Lancer's in the middle of the map. They are going to get caught as well. One of them already surrounded. Remember, every unit that dies becomes a fiend as well with those gaunts just kind of infesting, right? So then you get yourself another couple of units to help the surround continue and to keep the momentum moving forward. So not only are you losing units, but your opponent is gaining units. And now we're going to have Bob's going to have to try and get into some action here. So he start up the habitat, but that's going to take a while to be ready.
It is very difficult to actually kill Vanguard. I mean, both players, actually, both factions. It's pretty difficult to actually get the killing blow. But certainly when it comes to getting ahead, I mean, you can still account for that. And if that is just being able to take the map, that's still pretty good. Still being able to take the vision camps, the health camps to fall back on, and of course the resource camps if they are available.
Health camp is huge, right? So many of these units are low.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point.
That's a great set of heals.
Yeah. So many units for Elazer thanks to that infest.
It's actually crazy infest. It's so good. You can see these lancers. Well,
No.
yeah, I was gonna say the moment they get surrounded, it's trouble already, right? So you gotta be super careful here as probe. That's a lot of gaunts. I mean, I get it. Like the lancers gonna maybe jump in a little bit, but like these are 4 lancers, man. Like I'm seeing a different fight to what probe's seeing right now.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, but I guess initially about half of his gaunts weren't involved, and they were vulnerable. So, didn't want to take the very first fight, the very first round he could have gotten. And then the next one, still very scared of, I guess, losing his gaunt mass. So, not eager to take a battle if he doesn't have to. He's continuing to expand, and Probe is once again going to fall behind. I mean, last game, it felt like he really just could not punish Elazer's greed enough. And then the actual compositions is they played out in 2 ways, right, depending on how they actually engaged. But initially, Elazer got away with a lot of expanding. Probe not able to do as much as he would like with the not the Vulcans, the Hornets, and then now we're not even seeing Hornets at all. Vision Camp going to be taken by Probe on Elazer's side of the map, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah. Just knocks it out so that he can't be seen kind of moving around as much, right? But overall, there's still just so much control currently here for Elazer. This army just looks huge already. Like, you look at like 4 lancers moving around and it's like, welcome to the Gauntlands. There's just so much. Of course, there's Exos back at home. The transition is coming up from Probe, so he's getting ready, but I can't help but feel if Elazer finds a fight, that this is going to be a big deal.
I suppose it would be even nicer if Elazer could find a defensive fight. Probe thinks that he has have an opportunity. You know, Elazer doesn't seem to be searching for one. Out on the map or on the offensive. Taking care of more camps, opening up. Maybe we're getting a little bit of buffer here, sorry guys. Opening up the Therium. I don't know, maybe that's just me actually.
Yeah. Crowdstones. Just going to start up this defense. I mean, this is a moment where the Lazer's a little out of position, but he has the speed, and you got to be so careful about that, right? If those fiends get up in front, they could absolutely gather wrap around and then give you the chance for those gaunts to just clean up. And again, that's where it gets dangerous. But I like that Probe's at least finding the confidence. Get back out onto the front of the map, be able to poke around a little bit, and just hold some positions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Elazer just must feel very, very confident in the mid to late game, right? Because this just seems to be his plan every single time. Even if he does get a little bit of a head start, doesn't want to go ahead and try and take like a large amount of map control. He took his side of the map in his camps, yes, but not trying to be the one that applies all the pressure. It is still Probe doing it, but into a very large and increasingly better Infernal army. Now that the Magmadons have been added in, you got to be wary of their trample. And the Gaunt's actually a little more on the forefront there. Do get taken down, and we have the micro between the two. This is where, as the Infernal player, you have to be very careful about being dragged into the microable Exos, and that's what Elazer is so cautious about. Just that Probe didn't have a critical mass a while ago. Now he obviously does, and he is using it to great advantage.
I'm going to say these Magmadons need to get some trampling done, but they are not getting in reach, and now they are giving themselves up. The Exos are putting some work in. One final Lancer at the front is shielded. That's tanked a bunch of shots. Finally, the Hellborn gets taken down as well, so great opportunity for Probe as he gets a lot out of this. These units are squishy, they're low HP, but for the moment they're surviving. A new Hellborn gets a shot off, and that might be enough dissuasion to get Probe to back away for now.
Yeah. course, you want to clump up to micro them the best to your capability, but then that clumping up makes the Hellborn way more effective. The top bar ability coming in for the Infernal, kind of signaling that Elazer is eager to take the fight even further if Probe gives him the opportunity. Probe not eager to do so. He doesn't have healing, so a lot of them are red and obviously infested as well, so they would all help turn the tide there in favor of Elazer if he were to continue. Health Camp, certainly a good goal for this army at this time. I assume Medtechs will be on the way soon enough as Probe is finally on his own 3 bases. But Elazer, he's taking a very forward 4th base that is still protected by the forest.
Yep, that base goes down. And that is going to be one of those things. It's very difficult to get into that base, right? And like really jump on it, which is been something that Pro's been happy to do. Move armies around, jump on locations. That's not going to be something you can do on that bottom right location. So I think that's one that Elazer's right to take. And obviously, the next base along from here really almost becomes either the bottom corner or the central base. So this is where this map gets a little bit more chaotic, and you're kind of constantly being pushed towards one another throughout the course of this. So, see what the plans become. If we get that far, I mean, Probe's still pushing around looking for a fight, but I feel like he's also just one step away from taking a fight that could be very deadly for him.
Right, yeah. On even a shorter map, Elazer's style of play, the defense build up, push the stack defense forward. I mean, is once again intimidating, but even faster pacing, I suppose. And if he takes the middle base, of course, that's going to be very devastating to Probe's chances. Middle base going to be denied, however. Probe's been scouting that pretty reliably with the top bar scout. And I think he did see that the forest was being destroyed, so he knew that was being built. So he's not going to let that happen just willy-nilly. It might eventually happen for Elazer. Just, he's going to force the issue. But Probe's going to try and stay keep him off that base as long as possible. But now we got the Doom drop coming in. Actually, the trample. Magmadon didn't get on top of the bobs, but a fight might ensue here. It's through a choke, however, and Probe doesn't really want to engage through that.
No, it's a difficult place to fight into. We've seen that position be kind of wild throughout the day. And sometimes if you get through it initially, it's fine, but just getting through initially is not necessarily easy. That drop could have been really, really annoying to deal with, but yeah, just the Magmadon's dropping down the wrong side, a bit frustrating. How are you going to open this space up as a Elazer? He'd rather have the ability to kind of jump through from his base onto an army, not have to deal with the fact that if his opponent pushes through initially, then he maybe gets into the odd position. So, a bit of a different idea to maybe the expectation, as we do see those Exos are going to start finding some shots, going to the front. Not ideal, and Magmadons need to step it up, but again, you're chasing into those very microable units, and you're asking for trouble if you aren't going to be careful. And there's going to be some Magmadons at the front. Going to start thinking about when it's going to come and be time to go stomp, and they're going to stomp through now. That at least forces the micro back. We're going to drop the spellcast as the Magmadons from the flank on the Doombringer are going to come through. That is the trampling we're looking for. Now you get slowed down. Now we close the gap, and the opportunity arises here as we get some Hellborn shots off as well, and Elazer is able to take one hell of a fight.
Yeah, I saw that Doombringer coming to the backside, and I was like, that is absolutely genius. Now, Probe was still able to slither through and evacuate back onto that very microable position, which Elazer's army, as is, doesn't want to be chasing into, but that was pretty freaking sick. And as far as Elazer tearing down the trees here, I think he's just going to continue to leapfrog forward some of these Shroud Stones, right? Potentially even bridging the Shroud Stones, defending his 4th base and the 5th base that is the middle and is, of course, also a double base. So once Elazer gets that potential wall of static defense up, it feels like he's going to be impenetrable. I'm not sure what Probe can do at that point, or if Probe even knows what he can do at that point, Does he start adding in those Atlas as it becomes more of a siege warfare? Are they really better than what Elazer has anyway? Or does he try and start going for backstab tactics because the left side of the map has really been not used by Elazer? I mean, I'm not sure which one he's thinking of, but it is heading in that direction. You do not want to let Elazer get all those Shroud Stones up and have this really powerful army.
No, we really do not. As we drop the mapping brief, or the mapping shroud right now, we got ourselves the Doombringer trying to look around the left side. It's going to get jumped on, though. The Exos drop onto it. We are going to see the Magmadon's going to trample, and we do go through, stunning up. There's just no follow-up with the main army. It's too far away. Those units were going to go down anyway, so at least we made the most of it. Good choice made by Elazer. Takes that chance. We do clean out the vision cap at the very least, and of course Elazer is holding the middle of the map, and what a huge base this is to hold on to. Look at the just absolute foundations of economy that Elazer can build upon from this position.
Yeah, it's just he's gonna have so much tag defense. Probe can still take the corner bases, arguably. Even the bottom right one that Elaser's trying to take right now. He could probably contest that a little bit more, but this map is getting so condensed. If Probe's army was thinking it could win out in mobility, that's getting less and less likely as the game goes on. And even then, I'm not sure mobility would win out anyway. Because we've seen Elazer now against two different Vanguard players be able to weather the mobility storm, if you will, and then win with the one-punch army, which he is once again looking to do. Some of his army kind of getting sidetracked, so not the best starts, but once it actually gets on top of Probe, and Probe's back on like his own base, for instance, we're getting increasingly closer to that. Gonna be worse news for Probe.
Yeah, Probe is running out of places to run, but X is going to get a good start to this fight. You see the Atlas drops are still doing well, though, blowing up a couple of brutes up front. Of course, this army of Elazer would love to try and find a way to, again, find the engagement, but Atlas drops are going to, again, make it so that it's not easily done. I'm trying to get even more of those Shroud Stones up, so just building those all over the place. As we still have on the bottom side, Probe making a bit of a push through, and those towers do not last very long at all. Here we go. Is this going to be the push forward? We've got Magmadons there, kind of closing the gap. It's not going to be enough, and this time we get away. Magmadons from the backside again, though. Here comes the trampling, and it gives you once again that closing of the distance for the rest of the army to have a chance. And this time, Probe doesn't lose everything, but he loses a good chunk of the front lines.
I mean, his army was so speedy. Like, that was once again a really cool move there from Elazer, but Probe's speed boost there really helping out his Exos, and good control over the Atlas too to still save that, and even going back on the aggression. I mean, it's cool stuff, it really is, but is it going to be enough? As Elazer is also taking so many bases, he's going to be able to rebuild some of these, you know, worse than expected engagements, but not even that bad, arguably. And then again, continuing to expand to the bottom right, something that Probe would love to deny, because there's not even any Shroud Stones to the bottom right now. He could deny it, but he's so focused on surviving in the middle of the map. You cannot blame him for that. Does jump on the opportunity to take care of a Hellborn. That is very nice. Elazer not actually wanting to engage right now. The layering of his army isn't quite correct. A little bit awkward, too, as he's forced to trample more trees to actually make this better. But now the Shroud Stones are up as well. And Probe can't take those down quickly enough alongside the rest of Elazer's army.
Yep. No, that's gonna be tough. We actually have that top left base coming online. That's a bit of a fun one, as we are gonna have again Magmadons looking to trample forward, only catching the edge of the Exos, but it's enough for a couple of kills. As Atlas is at least trying to again push this back, and some of the Magmadons unfortunately getting caught in those shots are gonna be feeling the pain. And as we just back it up, we give it a bit of space. Elazer definitely commanding, but difficult to find the finishing touches, right? Difficult to find, like, you know, what you need to kind of push off of your location and truly into the Vanguard player to close this out.
Yeah, absolutely. It is difficult to actually end the game here. Probe still not quite discovering the bottom right base. Yes, I think he has a couple of units. Like Bob's actually going to expand there, so we got both corner bases being contested. Again, Elazer could do the Flame On ability and even take out the Bobs of his opponent very quickly, I suspect, but just doesn't want to use it or doesn't remember it. Either one, I'm not sure. He is so well acquainted with this game, I just figured he doesn't feel like it is worth it. Likes to use them for the Shroud Stones, but whatever, right the way it goes. Still Elazer trying to find that one perfect engagement. Now has the concave really set up. Ooh, trampling up to the top left. That is nicely done. And trampling on top of the main arm. Set up and trying to help to the best of their ability, and as long as they're not overwhelmed, which they certainly will not be, they will help tremendously. Lots of AoE damage going through there. Again, Elazer unable to find that finishing kill.
Yep, unable to, again, just find the one fight that's going to really overwhelm, but I mean, he's still in such a good spot. There's a couple of teams that are going to go clean up the top left-hand side. The battle for that corner base does endure. Obviously, in the bottom right, it's also a base situation, taking turns to mine. As, yeah, apparently that's what this game's coming down to. It's so funny that no one feels like they've got the opportunity to, well, okay, that's a bunch of towers.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's one way to blast your way through this position and make sure it's yours.
Yeah, just like suddenly 7 go down. I was like, oh, well, I'm always wondering, you know, what are the banks of either player, right? And I'm like, oh no, is Elazer actually starting to lose too many expensive units? Is he falling behind? No, apparently not. Totally fine. Rebuilding buildings, no problem. Rebuilding his army, no problem. He does still have more bases than his opponent and so much mining thanks to that middle of the map. And he's about to have the corner bases too. He will take care of them once those Shroud Stones are up. More coming down on the offensive as well. Elazer going to take the engagement while he can. Trampling coming forward, but really not getting into range of the Exos. The Atlas helping to take down those frontline units, and the Hellborns never getting the most drastic shots that they possibly can. Kite is the way to go, and then once the Magmadons are gone, you can jump on top of whatever is left, hopefully. At least this time for Elazer, he was able to break through enough to kill the Atlases, something he didn't do last time.
Yeah, those Atlases just were smacking, as we do have some Fiends elsewhere putting some work in, so they're going to do very well for themselves as Probe has lost the top left base, losing down the bottom right. I mean, that felt like Elazer lost pretty much everything, but again, we don't really know the backs of the players, and I do worry that Probe just doesn't have mining top left, bottom right, or middle that Elazer does have, so it feels like if anyone can rebuild and recover from a fight like that, it probably is Elazer with the setup he's got. Yeah, Probe even losing that base on the left-hand side is one that Elazer's not had trouble, keeping on his own side of the map. So when you keep that in mind, that is the big problem. That is the issue, I think, right here, is that eventually Probe just doesn't replace his army where Elazer can.
I guess some of the Atlases weren't involved in the fight to begin with. They did come over here to harass, but then maybe they should have been on the front line. Hard to say, especially if they design it. That thing is speedy. Good lord. But yeah, they temporarily stopped the Elazer from mining, but it is temporarily, and the Elazer, I think, just has imps to spare, so they're becoming buildings, they're going back to mining, no problem. And that base will eventually be taken. That means that Probe not only doesn't have any fresh bases to mine from, his initial bases are running out. Literally, he will be out of cash flow.
Yeah, you just look at Elazer's song, it's like he just lost everything a few moments ago, did he not? And yet here we are. But, look at all this, it's like, oh, that's a lot of tech units. Hellborns and Magmadons are back. We've got the Gorns and the Brutes here. He got everything that you need. There's not just like, oh, I was able to rebuild this part but nothing else. No, he was able to get everything back online. He's got towers in the front once again, and these are going to help him to hold the position. He just needs to find a way to, again, take these fights without losing out on everything. We've got the Dragon to help out here as well. It's going to be a good AoE here in this battle as it comes in, gets a couple of casts off, and we are going to start taking the fight from the left side especially, but I feel like those Hellborns are very much so in the front. And Magmadon's getting some trampling done on this left side as well. The Dragon comes back in. The Medtechs are healing whatever they can. The Atlas in the center is unfortunately not going to last much longer. So there goes the big AoE of the Vanguard player as Elazer will continue through. And it looks as though he's finally getting the fight that will clean out. Probe is out of here. And Elazer is going to take it 2-0.
Elazer proving to be the better player today, at least, will top the group 4-0 in score, 9-1 in maps, or 5-0. And Probe will be 4-1.